Well, pretty exciting. It's actually pretty late in the day, but my box has shown up, which should have my harmonic balancer for this car with the timing cover gasket, 2 sets of head bolts, oh, my GM oil pump. Bought a brand new GM oil pump, and there's my gaskets. Awesome. We can put together the Firebird this weekend. I'm pretty sure, with any bit of luck, I will be driving this car by Sunday. I was waiting on the oil pump to be able to put together the oil pan. I already have the valley covers on. This is just sitting here because I'm waiting for the pump. The cam's in, the timing set's in, all the lifters are in. Pretty much this head's all just about cleaned up, ready to go back on. And yeah, we're gonna throw this together. So pretty exciting. I've been waiting for those parts all day. I actually started ripping this apart. I got the half the intake taken apart, and the other box of gaskets that's in here down in the bottom is actually for this car here, because we're gonna replace the intake and valve covers, the oil pan. We're gonna put all new gaskets in it, so whoever buys this car is gonna end up with a car with a good engine. All right, so I've got some of the parts here. First upgrade I'm doing is I bought a brand new GM AC Delco pump. Actually, it's just a genuine GM, so it's not even Delco. But factory oil pump should be more than sufficient to keep this thing alive. I'm leaving it standard pressure. We're gonna get it pre-lubricated and get the pickup tube in here. I've done some research on what probably happened to my engine, and something that happens with people who use LS's in drifting is the sloshing of the oil. These things will pick up an air pocket and wreck your rod bearings. A lot of guys have an extra pressure vessel that if they lose oil pressure from the pump, there's an extra cylinder in their trunk that pushes oil pressure back into the motor and makes sure that they don't lose oil pressure. Otherwise, guys who are really spinning them hard and turning them sideways are using dry sump oil systems to keep these LS's alive. So that is one of the weak links. And with my cheap, Amazon oil pan, there's no baffling in it whatsoever. You can see there is a little bit of a tray that fits in here that bolts on here that's flat, but there's absolutely no baffling. So when I went around the corner, all the oil sloshed over, sucked up an air pocket, and knocked my engine out right now. If I wasn't running a good synthetic oil like I was, I probably would have put a hole through the side of the motor, because it happened over 6,000 RPM, and the fact that I was able to drive it home, I think, was just the fact that I had good oil in it. New oil pump should be sufficient. I'm going to make sure that I don't have it 2 quarts of oil low when I go in hard banking and doing donuts and stuff, and I probably will never have a problem again. So that other engine, this one was definitely eating some oil. I could see the amount of carbon buildup that was on these pistons, considering this only had about 2,000 miles on it. It was eating some oil. So the ride home probably used enough to where, had I checked the oil before I did that last hard hit, I probably never would have had a problem with this motor, other than the fact that it probably used oil. But lesson learned. All right, for the gaskets I did buy, new steel shim gaskets from Melee, along with the OEM head bolts. These are 50 cents more expensive than the Felpro, and I think the heads were better. When I was torquing the Felpro bolts, it felt like the heads wanted to round off, and I think these are going to be a better quality. And for 50 cents more, I figured couldn't go wrong to try something different. If I didn't like the other ones, these ones are either going to be better or not. I'll find out. So, well, as you can see, I've got the heads on, the oil pan, timing cover. I'm like ready to flip this thing back over. Oh, except for I don't have an oil filter. So instead, I'm running in to go get a case of oil filters, because of course, the only oil filter I seem not to have is the one I need. Well, it's a nice reason to actually take the Camaro out and go for a drive. Well, I won't be watching the sunset, it'll be behind me, so I guess I don't know if you can hear me with the wind. But probably a good thing I'm not driving into that. It'd be blinding, and I don't think I brought glasses, so it should be setting by the time I come back. Yeah, so I got to drive into this nice sunset on the way home. So I got my oil filters and I'm already back to Piasta. Took probably about a half hour, 45 minutes is all. And it was a great night. It's actually a little bit chilly, I was surprised. Shorts and short sleeves without a heater in the car. It was kind of chilly. I had the window rolled up, in fact. But made it to town. I just gotta get the filter on the engine, flip it over and stick it in the car, prime it, and we'll have the engine running by tomorrow. Maybe Sunday for sure, but hopefully by tomorrow. We got the hood off. I got the transmission lifted up, and I went ahead. This is the torque converter I'm taking out, which is almost a stock converter. I think it was like a 2000 stall. And this little guy is what I plan to put back in there. So much less mass. It'll rev quicker. Not to mention it'll leave at a much higher RPM. This is going to make me run in the 13s. Just an instant upgrade. That being on power tour, I wanted more fuel economy, so this was probably a much better torque converter to run for the long term. But for the street and ripping around and taking it to the drag strip, this is the one we're putting back in. So this is the one I had in it when my Pontiac 400 ran like 1240s. So I'm going to put this torque converter back in and put this one back on a shelf, and I'll use it in a later project. Maybe something with a 400 that is like a truck or something. But yeah, the stall converter is definitely going to make this thing move. Well, it's almost 2:30 in the morning. I'm done. The engine should run. I cranked it over. I have oil pressure. I threw all the plugs in it, hooked all the wiring up, carburetors on it. All I have to do is hook the fuel pump up and finish topping off the antifreeze. I'm a little bit short on coolant, but it's in the middle of the night. It's too late at night to start this thing. I don't need my neighbors hating me that much. So I'm going to go to bed. I actually have a busy day tomorrow. I got to get up early in the morning and go and travel to pick up a whole bunch of stuff from an auction and a trailer that, yeah. So busy day tomorrow, but by tomorrow night, I should be able to hear this thing run. Just woke up. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We have to get the car trailer loaded up and find some straps. And we're going to go pick up some stuff from an auction, but it's morning, so I thought I'd hear it start. I still have not ran the fuel pump, so the carburetor is completely dry. She's got oil in it. It's got everything, so let's fill the carburetor. And there it is. We got fuel. So in theory, this thing should start and run. Ooh, close. It wanted to start. Give it a little more fuel here. Doesn't want to idle. Let me kick the idle up a little bit there. Huh. Well, that's not starting like I had hoped. I thought it was just going to pop right off. Let me, I wonder if I fuel fouled my plugs when I was cleaning it. Oh, I went to give it gas. I did forget some things, like the accelerator pedal's not connected. All right, I have the accelerator pedal hooked up now, so I should be able to give it a little fuel. We should hear this thing run. Let's see what the oil gauge does. There we go. That's my 50 pounds I used to have. It's running. Yeah, I think I got some plugs that are fouled out or something, but I Back to having 50 pounds of oil pressure. 25 at idle. Actually, I got even a little more at idle. So that's right where I was. As long as it stays there when it's all warmed up, we're gonna be ideal. My Firebird runs again. I got the trailer hooked up and I got some furniture blankets and we are off to an auction. I sold my 4-post hoist and I sold it to the guy with my trailer so he could take and just leave it on the trailer to take it home and set it up. However, he lives in Cedar Rapids and that trailer's not really that roadworthy, so we put it onto a trailer for him to take it. So I got mine to go pick up the trailer and we're gonna fill it with auction stuff. Well, so I got the trailer loaded up back there, but we were quite late for picking up our stuff. We're supposed to be there by
11:30. It's 11:20. We're not late at all.
We're not at 8 o'clock like others. Anyway, we're not late at all. Well, we just made it to the auction spot to pick up our stuff. And yeah, wait to see how much we actually got. I think we're gonna have this entire truck and trailer filled. Well, in my rush to get home here, we had one come loose here. That was pretty scary. It was, I noticed it was hanging off like this far, and then the last bump we just hit, it slid way out. So I'm gonna get this restrapped in here. All right, well, I got her locked back down. We only got about 15, 20 more miles left to make it home. So looks like everything's gonna make it. But yeah, we completely filled up the trailer. This is the trailer I had to get that my hoist was on. But then all this stuff is what we got from the auction. So we'll go through it a little better when I get home with it. Well, we just made it back with our load of furniture here. Looks like everything's still on. We actually have already sold this because she took some pictures and posted some stuff on the way home. And pretty sure this wicker basket is also sold with just the pictures that we posted on the way home. So yeah, my other job of reselling is what we really do for income now since we sold our building. We haven't actually been doing anything for the last probably 7 months. We've just been enjoying life. So we have to get back to reselling, and with the garage getting close to being done, I had enough room to put this stuff in there, and we had to drive that way anyway for this trailer. So it worked out really good that we picked up all this furniture, and basically this will pay for my gas, and the time that we spent today will make a decent little bit off of some of the things that we got. An entire truckload of just some pretty cool lamps. All kinds of different glass pieces, some Christmas stuff. Yeah, auctioning is really fun. It's super addicting though too, because that's why everything looks the way it looks around here, because hey, look, I could buy it. Sure. So part of the fun about auctioning is we get to find treasure. And so that's why I had to buy it. Check out this bank that we got. It's in that box. Pull up the price. So
did I Google that? eBay. What? Oh, these are the sold ones. This is in the last like month and a half. These 3 sold.
So in the last month, the same exact one somebody got on an auction with bids, paid $225 or $255 for it plus shipping. So they're currently for sale for around $500. So that's why auctioning's so much fun.
Thought the screw doesn't quite fit right,
but yeah, they're
$425, $375, $550.
All because I wanted a mystery box.
Yeah, show the picture of what it actually was. We thought it was a rat.
Oh no, I'm not gonna Google.
We'll find it.
Boop. It's right here.
So
this was what made me.
This is probably not the best way to do it.
This was what made me want to.
Here, don't move. So we couldn't really tell what the picture was, and it kind of looks like a rat or a bat.
Or a cat, like an upside down cat.
It did not look like an eagle or a bank, but it is a mechanical bank. Oh, he'll show you how it works. You put a coin in its mouth, and it feeds its little babies at the bottom.
Oh, I the coin right in. It's so cute.
Treasure. So treasure hunting is our current job at the moment. So score. Except for the problem is then when we find these awesome treasures like this,
We want to keep it.
we walk in the house and our kids call dibs on it immediately. Everything cool that's worth something gets set on a shelf and we don't even get to sell.
And that way, someday, they'll get to sell it when they're old.
Yeah. Anyway, Firebird's almost together. We're going back out there to work on that. Well, we have a beautiful Sunday morning. My car is together. And, well, it's not completely together, but my car is running. Just moved the Suburban. I'm going to move this Firebird out of the way, and so I can get my hood put on. But we're going to put this car together and test drive it today. Motor sounds great. Fires right up like it used to. And I mean, completely cold start with no choke. I have about 30 pounds of oil pressure at idle, which is about 5 pounds more than I had with the other motor anyway. And it gets right up to 50 if you give it a little gas. So I got the hood setting on there. I'm finishing putting the pins on, and then I got to put the air scoop in. And we are test driving this car today. Well, the motor's in, and I took it to the gas station, filled it up with gas, and then I took a short trip down the road. Didn't beat on it or nothing, just cruising. And my oil pressure, which is better than it used to be. Give it a little gas. And it holds steady right there, right? Well, I just went down the road and lost all my oil pressure. Shut it off, started it up, came back, drove a little further, lost it again, shut it off, started up, drove it back. Came down my road with about 25 pounds of pressure total. The engine's fully warmed up now. The fans are running, we're up over 200 degrees. Something made it lose oil pressure. Okay, now that I'm out driving, I'm only holding 25 pounds of pressure. I don't know what the deal is here. Seems like it wants to drop down now that I'm driving. It's going lower. Oh, I hear a lifter clicking now. Oh man, something's wrong. Alright, so I turned around and shut it off, and it like jumped back up to 50. As soon as I shut it off and restarted it, the clicking went away and I got it right back again. And now I'm back up to 50 pounds of pressure. Something goofy is going on here. That's so weird, because now I got 50 pounds again. And I could just hear my lifter clicking, because I don't know. This is so goofy. And there's dropping. Exactly what's going on here, but I got 25 pounds of oil pressure at idle here. When I step on it, it should rev up past 50, and it stays at about 25, and it starts to drop even. But if I shut it off and I immediately restart it, have 50 pounds of oil pressure again. That is so weird. I'm pretty confused. I don't know what's going on. When I start to drive it, it just starts to lose oil pressure. I don't know why driving would make any difference between sitting here revving it. Well, I'm driving along now, and we're holding like 50 pounds, 40 pounds. I'm only turning about 1600 RPM right now, just going through town. I don't know, it's acting really weird, and my temperature's hotter than normal too. I don't know if maybe I got a ground going on with my gauges, but I don't think so. It seemed like I heard the lifters clicking, like I was out of oil pressure. So I'm gonna run it down the road here, keep an eye on the gauges and see what it does. Well, my oil pressure gauge seems to be fine now, but my temperature is getting pretty warm. This car usually ran under 210 the whole time, and we're over it now, so I think maybe I have an air pocket in my cooling system and it's not all the way full. So unfortunately that means I gotta probably pull the hood back off, but I'm gonna take it back and park it and let it cool completely off and see if there's any way I can check the antifreeze without taking the hood loose. Maybe I can just lift it up a little bit. All right, well, I got the car completely cleaned off. It's nice and shiny. We're gonna take it and hopefully not break down. Drove it again, oil pressure stayed up. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll see what happens here, but this is gonna be hopefully the long test drive into town where I have no problems. Otherwise I have to come back home quick and grab my Camaro because I have a family reunion to go to. Well, I made it all the way into town, but I am having some issues with this engine too. My oil pressure and my temperature are not happy. Like I'm back to 50 now, but I had to restart the engine because it dropped down to 25 and I could hear the lifters clicking. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's something going on. It's got to be the pressure relief. If I shut the engine off and I restart it, I instantly have the oil pressure back to where it was instantly. It doesn't make sense. Like, it was just clicking like I had low oil pressure. I wonder if my filter's not plugged. I probably should have threw a new filter on it. There was a lot of junk that went through this motor, but it's not making a lot of sense right now. See, okay, so I'm back up. I got above 50. The engine sounds great. I think the temperature might be related to my torque converter heating up the antifreeze. But I got over 50 pounds if I step on it right now. But then all of a sudden it'll start to lose oil pressure, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're over 50 and it's running really good right now. The engine sounds super healthy. I mean, there it's like, that's like 65 pounds. I could never get over 50 with the old motor. But then all of a sudden it'll just stop making oil pressure and start to tick, and I'll have to shut the engine off and then restart it and it's fine. So it can't be a clearance issue. It's got to be that oil pump, something with the pressure relief in it. I don't know. I'll turn the camera back on if it starts screwing up again, but it seems fine now. Well, the family reunion's over. Gonna try and drive it home again. We'll see what happens with the oil pressure. Right now we're sitting at, that 45. Pretty much at idle. It's jumping right up to 50 when I step on it. So I hope it stays doing that, but there's something definitely going on that it loses oil pressure. Yeah, we'll see if it happens again. Well, a little bit of memory lane here. I just stopped at the gas station on Kerper to fill my car up. And this is my old building. This used to be Kurt's Auto down here, where they have the Veterans Center. I used to own and rent the garage that ran all the way through here. The doors were on this end down here. And that was my shop before I bought my building that I just sold. All right. Anyway, hoping for good oil pressure all the way home. Here we go. Yeah, I love that green. I don't know how loud it is in here right now, but 70 miles an hour, and I'm running about 60 pounds of oil pressure, and the temperature's down around 200 now. So I think there might have been an air pocket. Well, I'll talk when I get back, but yeah, this looks awesome. We're really low RPM, and we're sitting at around the 30 mark. However, when I just revved it a little bit, it didn't want to go up anymore like it was. Yeah, see, it's not going up again now. And it's like stuck at that 30 PSI. I'm not sure what's going on with that. It doesn't really make sense. I think we're gonna try changing the oil filter and see if that maybe is plugged up. Otherwise, I gotta take the oil pan back off and look at this oil pump, check that pressure relief valve. It just doesn't make sense. All right, so I'm pulled up back at the house, and the oil pressure's sitting right around 30 pounds at idle. But if I give it gas now, it's barely moving at all. Now watch, if I shut it off. Okay, and now I'm gonna immediately restart it. And now watch what happens when I touch the gas. Way over 50. That doesn't make any sense. It's, yeah, like 1,000 RPM, we're sitting at the same 30 pounds, but I give it a little bit of gas, that's 2,000 RPM, and we're up to 50. 3,000, and we got 60, 62, somewhere around in there. But then it gets stuck at a point where it loses oil pressure. And the harder I push it down the highway, it seems like the lower it goes. It's got to be the pressure relief valve. That's what regulates the pressure. I just don't understand at the moment. It's got me really confused as to what the heck's going on with my oil. Okay, so I started thinking about my problem and the higher RPM having the oil pressure drop off. So oil gets sucked up through the pickup tube through this hole, is pushed from this side of the pump to this side from low to high. High pressure goes out through this hole and into the block through that hole. However, the valve is in here, and when it pushes high pressure from this side, it will actually release pressure to the low side over here by the regulating valve that's mounted in here. What I'm thinking might be happening is as I get into the higher RPMs, this part might be creating suction, and the oil pickup tube's too close to the pan, creating a vacuum basically on this side, which is pulling the pressure relief valve down and releasing pressure onto the negative side. It seems logical. I'm going to get inside there. I'm going to take the oil plug out. I'm going to try and save all the oil because that's super expensive oil. But I'm going to try and look inside there with a bore scope and see if I can't see the pickup tube and see if it's maybe too close to the oil pan, because I'm thinking that that might be the explanation for what it's doing. Otherwise, I really don't understand why it would reset when I shut it off and restarted it and it's back to normal pressure. Well, I wanted to see what I could find. I got the oil pan off, and first thing I notice, get some light in there, there's some big debris. I don't know. There's a little flake of metal there. There's like a chunk of something there. I don't know what that is. So there's actually a bunch of garbage in the bottom of this oil pan. Still doesn't answer what went wrong here. I'm wondering if that oil pickup tube may have been touching the bottom of the pan, but I don't really see signs of it. Anyway, well, no matter what, we'll get that garbage cleaned out of there because that can't be good to be in there. I'm gonna keep looking and see if I see any other reasons for lacking oil pressure. Well, so I looked up inside the pickup tube and, well, I just dripped oil right on my camera. That was unplanned. But I can see some trash right in there. That makes me think that quite possibly this bit of garbage here, that's, I don't even know what it is. It's almost like a cloth material. Maybe there's little bits of some rag that got stuck in there. I don't know. But looking at what's at the in that pickup tube, it's possible that there might be just enough junk plugged in there. I'm gonna go to tweezers and see if I can pull some stuff out of there. So this is all the loose chunks of dirt and carbon that came out of the bottom of that motor. That's why it really pays to have this stuff cleaned. That's pretty nasty considering I have about 40 miles on it. But this is all old debris and chunks that I'm going to get this out of here. And I think it was plugging up the pickup tube and that was causing my oil pressure problems. This would make sense that if it started to plug up the pickup tube and I shut the engine off and shut the pump off, the oil would flow back out of the pump into the pan, and then it'd be fine again until it sucked it up and plugged it again when I got going at higher RPM. So we're going to get all this cleaned out, and hopefully this is the cure for my oil problem. But it's all just debris. There's no metal in it. There's no bearing in it. It's all just like chunks of oil and garbage from the dirty engine that I used. So we're going to get that all cleaned out. Well, I ran over to my mailbox and got mail from the post office, and it ran great. I have about 5 more pounds of oil pressure just in town than the car's ever had before. So I'm gonna run in. I have to go into town and get bird food for my chickens and a filter for my hot tub. So this is the car we're gonna test drive in. Looks like I got some lines running down there. Must have ran out of my mirror when I washed it. I might try and clean those off because they look bad. But yeah, I think it's fixed. I'm pretty sure the junk in the oil pan caused my problem. And it would make sense why, as I ran it harder, the pressure would drop if it was being restricted on the intake side. So I'm pretty confident, fingers crossed, I'm gonna get out on the highway and we're gonna have great oil pressure the whole time. And I'll actually be able to beat on it because I really haven't taken it over 4,000 RPM yet, even with the new torque converter, just because I've been watching that oil pressure be screwy since the day I got it put together. So yeah, so I'm rolling down my street at like 1,000 RPM. And I have more oil pressure than I ever had in an idle. So I'm pretty sure that junk kind of got washed down right away. Like I said, I didn't take the engine apart when I got it from the junkyard. I kind of dumped some transmission fluid in it upside down, tipped it over, trying to wash out some of this stuff. And I probably just loosened it all up, and that's what collected in the oil pan. But I would say so far, just from what I've seen going to the post office over here, the oil pressure is going to be way better when we hit the highway. Like, I think we're going to get over 75 pounds. So, and this car only made 50 pounds of pressure. With the old engine on Power Tour, that was the highest oil pressure I ever got. And we're already there right now at 1,500 RPM. And it just climbs when I step on it. So, we're gonna hit the highway and see what it does. So I'm cruising at 70 right now. And I'm at about 70 pounds of pressure. I step on license, and I'm so glad that COVID didn't change. Free popcorn. Yeah. Best thing about going there to pick up supplies for the chickens is you get the free popcorn, which is salty and delicious. Anyway, oil pressure's awesome. I'm holding at least 10 pounds more than I did with the other engine at idle, fully warmed up. And as soon as you tap the throttle a little bit, it goes right up. Like, totally happy with it. I think we're, yeah, like, here we go. Right there's 50. And we're not even at 2,000 RPM. So, oil pressure's fixed. Yeah, definitely my fault. I had some garbage in the oil pan that I should have did a better job trying to clean that motor out. Maybe I should have taken it all the way apart. Junkyard engines. It's working great though. Well, I just made it back home, and I would say the car is fixed. Oil pressure's right there. No more dropping off like it was. The harder I push it, the more pressure it gets. Before it would get up to like 50 pounds and stay there pretty good. But if you pushed it hard, it would start to drop off. And I think all that junk was getting plugged up into the screen tighter and tighter until it would restrict oil flow, cut the pressure. And when I shut it off, the shutting off of the engine would cause the oil to come back out of the pump pressurized and back out the pickup tube and push the junk back out of the screen. And then it would be fine again, back where it needs to be, and it would slowly plug up that screen again. It's the only thing that makes sense because it's working great now. I have awesome oil pressure. I'm probably 25 pounds higher at higher RPM than I was on the old motor. And at lower RPM, at least 10 pounds higher. So, and that's just used out of the junkyard, same bearings, everything. I didn't even put cam bearings in this motor. The other engine, I did put cam bearings in that one because they were completely trashed, and the rest of the bearings in that motor kind of looked not the greatest. I also reused the oil pump, so I probably deserved to have had it knock the rods out of it and break. I think this is going to be a better motor all around, both from the oiling side of it and the cylinder wall and piston ring. Everything looked great, so this should give me some, hopefully, no more issues. I'm ready to drive this car and have a good time and destroy some tires. And I definitely want to get it down to the track because, boy, this thing takes off so much faster with this torque converter in here. It's, yeah, you step on it and it's definitely got some launch. I guarantee we're going to hit the 13s with this car now. There's no way it's still in the 14 seconds. There's just no way. As far as my car getting fixed, we're ready to go. This thing, I mean, just carbureted engine just starts like that. Instant. Runs great. It's got 2 steps working. I can't wait to go have fun with this car.